All right, good morning, guys. Quick sound check. Let me know you can hear me. What's up, Joe? Happy Tuesday. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Markets are moving here a bit in pre-market session. It's a rather beefy 31.5 point S&P range bar there off that news announcement. Nasdaq 140 points off of that. I'm going to mark out this little low down here, 944 quarters. I just kind of want to put a little bit of a notation on that just now. That's that pullback low that we just had so far out of the CPI number. So we've got highs all the way up here, 26,045, which is about 50 points away. About 50 points away back down to here. So we might end up kind of coming down and like shaking this out just a little bit. Trade down here towards like 930s, give or take, 940, somewhere down there. And that could make for like a nice little kind of shimmy entry, especially if that's where that divergence, ultimately sets up at, is kind of my thinking there. So if that's not the case, then in the NASDAQ here, I'm going to be looking for up over this 996s for longs and potential entries in there, right? Because again, the target above, which you can't really see on the screen at the moment, is 26,314 quarters. So there is a lot of room for this thing to want to move. That same level comes down here like 70.13 for S&Ps. And let's take a look at the Russell here. Russell does still, in fact, have a couple levels in place now. 2640s, which is 20 points away. I would not want to see the Russell make that move quite that far. It would not be ideal. So I'd like to see that hold a little bit better. And then in the Dow, kind of same thing. There is a level here at 732s. The low on this pullback is at 711 in the Dow there. So we could maybe see that. It's not too far, 20 points through the level there. I wouldn't be too terribly upset by that. The crazy mover here this morning is going to be silver. Silver currently printing 88.38 at the moment. It's up another $3.28, 3.87%, which is getting outrageous. I don't know what to do with this here. We can continue to long it, but it's just going to be tough with like no real pullback, so to speak. And even then, like pullbacks are, the 5-minute bar ranges are like 40, 50 cents. So even with micros, you're talking, $400 or $500 worth of risk just on the entry alone. 40 cents, you need it to move like $1.20. It hasn't quite done that yet for this one, but so yeah, I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it, whatever it's doing here. At some point, I think it goes a little bit climactic this week or next. And then from there, I think we'll see. I don't even know if silver has circuit breakers to the downside. I would imagine that it does. At some point within the next month, I'll go ahead and make a pretty bold prediction that we will see circuit breakers hit to the downside. If there are circuit breakers, I'll double check that. For the metals, I think we'll see those get hit to the downside. So that could also be really, really fun. In gold, though, I like, we've got this open here, 4610s. I like the idea of us coming back down and trading 4607s, doing just kind of a little push under these lows, which are 460820s from the morning, grab that 4607s, and then kind of bounce up there. If we can do that, it gives us, a solid 30 plus points worth of room to work back into, 4640s from yesterday. We'll have to obviously time that with silver. I wouldn't expect that at that same time that silver, erases the entire move and is back down to 86. I would more so think that that's like 87.50s, 87 quarters, maybe just taking out that last little pivot there. Um, and then from there, we can look to, kind of rally that back in gold, probably more so than in the silver. Um, would be the way in which I'm thinking that that's potentially possible. So that's kind of the game plan here initially. There's a couple names moving in pre-market, Google being one of them. Uh, I don't know. I feel like I've missed the boat on this one. I'm like late to the party at this point. Let it just continue to do its thing. If we get a nice Nasdaq divergence, then obviously longs in a strong name are going to be permitted. But at the moment, I think I have enough to watch between the indices, the gold and silver move, and I still just don't love individual names until earnings season comes about. I think it's kind of been the mental space I'm in. I've seen a couple of movers like Baba and stuff recently that have had kind of exceptional moves to the upside, and I think that's a good thing at the moment. But at the same time, like we've seen names, and we only got a minute 30 left to go, like Meta and even Tesla outside of yesterday, that have just had this kind of decent pullback slash maybe want to go downtrend type thing. And even Apple's one of those as well. Like if you look at the weekly chart here in Apple, even the daily chart, we're in the right spot. Like 255s is potentially like where we hold, and we're getting some weakness in there now. But yeah, so they're still just not my favorite things at the moment. CRWV, yeah, CoreWeave made a nice move yesterday. And Oracle 204s, yeah, Hassan brought that one up as well. Yeah, not bad. I kind of like those from a potentially a longer term swing perspective. All right, 30 seconds here. Switch over to the NASDAQ. NASDAQ's coming off that 996s now, about to pop those 944 lows. Interesting. I don't know, I'm going to kind of sit back here for a minute now. We just pulled back a little bit there. We'll let that kind of do whatever it wants to do here for a bit. By the way, thank you guys for tuning in. Give me a like, thumbs up, comment, subscribe, all those fun things if you haven't already. It's much appreciated. All right, there's the bell. Is that kind of coming back doing that there? My quotes are a little off this morning, it seems like, from what price is showing. Let's see what that's about. Dow's kind of pushing down there. Looks like we just got that little low there for the Dow. My quotes are 100% off. Anybody else seeing that out of either Trade Evade or Ninja? Oh, there we go. Now we're back. That was interesting. I'm going to do a little bit of Dow here off the level 732s. We did come down and do the whole thing I was looking for there. Those lows are 690. This is going to be a really quick little stop then. All right, that looks better. All right, I'm small long Dow here, right around 730s. Stops are about 40.690s. If it shimmies me one time, it's okay. Fool me once, put the blame on me. So my Dixieland light. I'm parked in a holler, there's nights in moonlight. Hold her up tight. All right, let's see if we can get NASDAQ up through 996s here. I wouldn't mind having Dow and NASDAQ for a little. Dow looks like it wants to pop new lows here for a second. NASDAQ just traded 994s. Dow made new lows there. Traded 689s. It almost took me out. I didn't have a hard stop in there. Little turtle diving on a Mason-Dixon line. It's my life. Oh, so right. A Dixieland line. Alright, I gotta trim the Dow here. I took the Dow off there. It's cracking overnight lows now. Russell new lows, Dow new lows. Nasdaq just kind of hanging in here. S&P is about to pop lows. We got an interesting little like kind of 5 minute 1, 2, 3 developing for Nasdaq right beneath the level here. I kind of wouldn't mind. Kind of wouldn't mind Nasdaq get like a 15-minute close up here. We got about another 5 minutes, 6 minutes to go, and then maybe set up like a little 15-minute 1, 2, 3 that comes back and tests 996s. Like that, honestly, would be probably best case scenario here at this point for us. The Russell Dow kind of doing their own thing. That 5 minute 1, 2, 3 that was setting for Nasdaq didn't actually end up doing what it was supposed to do there. We're now pushing a little bit further. S&Ps didn't quite make new lows there, which would also have like made that look a little better. Yeah, I think Nasdaq goes back to 26,045. I mean, my ultimate target on the day is 26,314, so there's still 300 plus points to go. You can send it to me. I'll take a look at it. About 3 minutes and change. Well, let this see if we can't. Ideally, we don't pop those highs before we pull back first. That would be ideal. I don't know that that's going to be the case, though. Traded 42s there. Google, AMD, the two strongest names I see on the board at the moment, at least of what I'm watching. If we can close out like right here, we got about another 2 minutes and change. We can close out just like slightly up here, 26,026, something like that. Nasdaq's getting a little bit of a pullback while Dow and Russell rally just a touch here. Excuse me? What is that? That is what we are. How can we be wrong? To another world, and we rely on each other. Feels a little weird having islands in the stream, a little Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers on the markets doing this. Like, what is that bar? Like 83 points out of NASDAQ? Like, excuse me? This reminds me of that the other day. We sat through that nonsense. It ended up working, but we like fought it off. It was like the NVIDIA chip news or something that happened like last week. Kind of reminds me of that, but like we have a weaker Dow than I would like to see on that. Gold is making a move. That is what we are. How can we be wrong? Yeah, it's not pretty at the moment, that's for sure. I just got a news hit. Let's see what it is. It's gonna be some Iran news nonsense. The Russell doesn't seem to care initially here. We're kind of rallying a little bit of that back now. I'm not really trying to buy a bottom in the Russell or the Dow. I mean, the Russell's holding up way better than the Dow at the moment, though. And 2648 is still in place there. We haven't quite been able to do anything with it, though. In the Russell, we haven't gotten to it. S&P's just broke down there and got new lows. Meanwhile, NASDAQ is trying to do something here. The stops are like 40 plus points wide, though, if we were to try and do anything in there. It's a little wider than I would like for it to be. And Dow's still downtrending as hard as it is, so I kind of don't. 947s. That 15-minute bar for NASDAQ doesn't quite look as good. Yeah, the Dow dump is certainly surprising. I don't know that I expected quite this much from it. I'm gonna queue it up. I'm not putting the position on just yet, but I wouldn't mind a touch of NASDAQ risk if we can get back over 996s. The stops are a little bit wider. There's still 300 plus points to target though. Again, if we just completely fail right here, we go into a downtrend, that's fine. I'm just going to get it queued up. I'm going to have to use micros a little bit because the stops are going to be like 50, 60 points probably. We'll give it a little extra room. But I think if we can kind of fight this off, it'll be a good spot. I don't love the Dow though. I gotta. Yeah, gold moving. It didn't do what I wanted though. Silver's at 89. I'm assuming that at the moment, I'm assuming the NASDAQ is going to come down and probably try and hold opening print if it tests it and then get back over 996s from there. At the moment, that's the kind of picture I wouldn't mind seeing. Russell is into that 4820s, but it's a super tough 5-minute bar to think that we reverse that and just want to rally from there until it actually does it. Green bar, green bar, red bar smack to the downside there. All right. I'm going to grab a little bit of NASDAQ over 996s here. We technically have the divergence. It's a little bit higher. It's like 2603s basically for a trigger. About 50 points wide. No break yet. Russell's kind of holding here still. I did write in the morning write-up that a failure is always in the cards, and if we get an intraday downtrend going or spike towards those highs and fail, then I'll step aside and just let it work its way lower. This is make or break for us here. I don't really have any interest in shorting this. If you got BB, this would be the dare to go lower. Stops to be about 20 points wide under lows, assuming we don't break those lows, and Nasdaq is going to be the one to hold. I'm not taking that trade either, but it's potentially there if you have it. It probably pays off the best. Again, I was assuming they will come down, hold the open. We did that just now. Now back over 996s. I get a little bit more interested in this. The high is 995 at the moment on this bar. We got 2 minutes to go on it. I actually wouldn't be super opposed to that being the stop. This bar is about 53 points wide. That gives us 6-1, give or take, up to 314s. Is basically what we mapped out yesterday on the risk metric. We were talking 996s as stops, or 996s as 984s as targets, 934s. Holy shnikes, talking's hard. You get the point. You know what I meant. Again, we're gonna use micros on this just because the stop's so wide. $53 points, basically 60 points, let's call it. So $1,200 on normal, $120 per contract on micros. Might not matter if we just come right back down through opening print. We'll see. The bar's in place though. 996s, wait for entries. I kind of don't mind that little Russell move too. Do we really want to mess around with another? I'm going to take this in a different account. I'm just going to grab a little bit of Russell here. The stops are going to go under those lows. We're still waiting on NASDAQ here. The one thing I would not enjoy seeing, just because it would change up our entry quite a bit, would be if we fail this, make new lows. Seven R on meta. Let's go, dude. Nice work. That's one of those weaker names lately. Little moments of strength, but overall, a weaker name across the board. Dow's trying to put in a little bit of a bottoming type action. If we did lose the NASDAQ today, that meta could be in trouble. Look at that daily. $590s maybe. What a trade, dude. What a trade. $10 on a Tuesday. S&P's made new lows there. NASDAQ did a little shimmy under that prior low. Still holding opening print. So our stop's a little bit wider now. It's at 940s. Or I'm saying would be at 940s. It was 941s before. So we pierced that low by just a point. So up over 996s. Still interested. Much wider stop than I would normally like to be a part of, but the target's also really far away. S&P just completely took out the entire move from that CPI. Doesn't seem like it really is done. Anybody else? Does the action look a little like spiky slash like juggernaut style type moves? Like, am I imagining that, or is that like a little whippy? You say, yeah, it sucks. My Russell stop is at 44s. We traded 44.10s. I had a hard stop in there too. That'd be crazy if that stays in. Yeah, there was a valid reason up there to definitely take some off. Gold coming back down pretty hard too now. We're gonna save this for another day or what? Russell is right back down to those 44s. I should move my stop so I don't get stopped out. Or so I can just get stopped out at a lower price. Yeah, I'm not interested in shorting yet. Ticks have been very neutral to down, but not exceedingly down. I don't love this idea for the trade, but it would be longs over 53s here basically, stops at 92s. It's like 60 points wide, kind of same thing. Again, I'm not a massive fan of that idea. And we could just be retesting to go lower at the moment. So I'm still going to wait for 96s, but I'm also just not interested in buying a downtrend until that stops. So again, the best case scenario for us would have been that we didn't break these lows and got over 96s. Now we have to kind of change that up a bit and just let this continue to do its thing for a moment. I will check on that after I'm done trading today. You gotta just move somewhere where it's a little bit easier to fulfill the giveaways and stuff. That should be option 1. If you don't live in a trader-friendly place, option 1 should be to move. No, it's fine. I'm just messing with you. I'm just giving you a hard time. I can almost guarantee you there's not another trader that is jamming to the same playlist as me at the moment. We've had a little Dolly Parton on, we've had a little Kenny Rogers, a little Conway Twitty, a little Randy Travis. It's a different kind of vibe this morning. Jackson and I went riding around the other day, and I just played like all the old 60s and 70s songs for him. Like we listened to probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 albums of Conway Twitty. Neil McCoy. Russell's going to come back down and take me out. 44.30s. There it is. 44 is printed on the lows there. Like I said, I don't have a short here, unfortunately. And we're not quite at the position where I would be interested in shorts at the moment either. It's a really tough short considering S&Ps are basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5-minute bars to the downside. The Dow should have been a bit of a hint this morning when we failed that 732s up there in the way in which we did. And we kind of talked about it. There was definitely a surprise on the weakness kind of coming out of that. NASDAQ is wanting to hold. That's going to be the dilemma. Is it wanting to hold to make the move today, or is it wanting to wait till tomorrow? I don't have the balls to short it either, honestly. I also don't have the setup for it right here. Did I really meet Warren Buffett? Yeah. That picture is from before AI existed, so yeah, that's a real picture. It's kind of funny, actually. I never really thought about that. I didn't have a beard then either. Russell down, new lows here. S&Ps and NASDAQ, no new lows yet. It can work. I'm just not interested in like 40, 50 points. Now, if it's 40, 50 points with like a 10-point stop, sure. If it's 40, 50 points with a 30, 40-point stop, no. Which if your entries were 930s, then it already went, 27 points against you at one point. And I was thin. This is true. This is true. $250 points on the day. Not too bad, not too bad. Nice little Tuesday. S&Ps are right back at these 69.93s, an area in which we held from yesterday. We had that level there at 93 quarters. Russell's back at 2640s. I don't really love where we're at the moment. Joe certainly paper handed that meta 626s. This is going to be the part where I'm going to struggle for a short entry of any kind. Nice. Good work, kid. Gold's coming back down towards that 4607s. We just went higher first, which I don't love that. Close your NASDAQ short. How come everybody's short but me? I didn't get the memo. Does Russell hold off 2640s? It's kind of a big ask with the weakness everywhere else. And it's really not even crazy. I mean, S&Ps are down 0.35, NASDAQ down 0.35, Russell down 0.34, and the Dow is down 0.70. So it's not like we've had a crazy move so far this morning. Yeah, we're about 160 point range on NASDAQ so far. Let me see. 184 points. Nothing crazy. The problem is we could just end up drifting, and that then would get annoying and ugly. NASDAQ going lower there. Tick's really not, though, participating in that move. Interesting. Any thoughts on HON? Was that Honeywell? Honeywell, it's a couple days up, but a nice move so far. I like that bigger picture swing for sure. Yeah, I mean, at some point, I think we trade the overnight lows from the other night, which are down at like 600s, 625s, 630s, whatever that was. Like, that's not going to be a surprise by any means if we were to get back down there. Doing it with a 5 minute chart that has like one green bar on the way to it, that would be more of a surprise. Because at the moment, that's the only thing in which we have is one green bar since we've started to fail. The thing in which I am happy about is the fact that we wrote a failures in the cards, and if we get an intraday downtrend going or spike those highs and then fail, I'm going to step aside and just let it work its way lower. And so far, that's what we've done is we had the divergence early on, which was the idea for the longs. We couldn't get triggers on that. We waited patiently, and we've now allowed this to kind of work its way lower here and not get ran over, which is not fun. And I'm okay with that. Like I wrote, there's probably one or two good trades this week, and those are the ones in which I want to participate in. Where's silver at on this gold pullback? Gold's coming down. Almost got those 4607s. We need a rally at this point in order to short. The question becomes is one, can we get it? And two, where does the rally back come to? 569s, those overnight lows from from last week. 630s overnight lows from the other day, and then there's technically room to 332s, which was in the Sunday stocks hawk. Russell, on the other hand, kind of acting like it wants to hold this 2640s. And again, markets are only down 0.5% here, so the most unfortunate thing we could see today would be that this is the range for today and we don't actually break it in any way. We still continue to trade inside this range throughout the rest of the day. High day 46.62.90s. 1029. The Dow surprisingly weak, and an hourly 123 to the downside in there would be interesting. I don't really know where we go though, is the only thing. It looks more like a weekly 123 setup for higher is trying to form though at the moment, so again, unfortunate, but the game plan was the game plan was a divergence. No, I know, I see that too. I'd like it a bit more if it ended the downtrend and then gave the entry. I see the divergence there too. Just 5 minutes ago, we did make new lows across the board except for Russell there. I think Dow might have saved it by like, yeah, 3 ticks, but still. NASDAQ, S&Ps both did. The Russell Long I attempted off 48.20s up there. Probably should have been attempted off 40.20s here. Tell me about the good old days. Mr. FX Leonard want to make fun of me, but the Judds are singing Grandpa, tell me about the good old days, you know, like back in the 60s and 70s, like ancient times. We were watching a movie. We were watching a movie last night, and it came on. It said 2008, and Jackson goes, he's like, "Wow," he's like, "That was a long time ago." uh, kind of is actually 18 years ago at this point, surprisingly. Bro, you've been loving those IWM calls. They've been treating you well. Decent little Russell, or a decent little rally back here out of the Dow and the Russell, actually. The only problem with the Dow is unless we got a full reversal of this move, that is going to kind of look a little ugly for more downside still. Again, unless we break the downtrend, realistically, longs are tough. And if we do rally up and set up a new sell setup to go lower, I would honestly be just a little bit leery of it. And I kind of at this point want to think that the Russell maybe goes back to like 2677s, because at the moment that's a pretty decent little rally off those lows and off 2640s. It's another, what, 26 points from here. You're in the Russell. I don't blame you. You talking the 1025 bar you took? I think you're if you guys are listening on YouTube, by the way, make sure you click that little live button down there in the thing. If not, you could be just a minute or so behind. Yeah, we did get a little bit of a rally so far. Russell Dow a little bit stronger than I would have expected on that rally back, though. Sweet potato pie in a shot my mouth. Going with the wind. Ain't nobody looking back again. GC rally back. I mean, we're only like 30 points off highs. I don't know. I was waiting to see if we test 4607s first, and I was getting close to thinking that was going to happen, but it hasn't done it just yet. It should have done it a little bit ago when that 4610s traded there. I'm kind of leaning towards the idea that maybe we get new lows here out of like the S&Ps or the NASDAQ, and then that ends up just being a pullback here in the Russell or the Dow for this new trend that they're maybe trying to work on back to the upside. That's the thing in which I'm thinking at the moment. I'm still not super interested in shorts, but I'm also not going to just step into a long here either. So, and like I said, it would be really tough for Dow unless we reverse this entire move. And at the moment, we're kind of working on that. But I think we could see new lows in S&Ps or NASDAQ here within the next like 10, 15 minutes. Yeah, I don't quite understand the weakness in the NASDAQ either. The Russell doesn't seem to care though, so I kind of wouldn't be opposed to NASDAQ maybe closing red on the day. A gap over that tomorrow would be better than the gap today. 980 or 996s are still in place. I'd be okay with that still. Give me a quick thumbs up on this video if you guys are still hanging out. I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. I gotta come up with a name. I need a name for the show. Anybody got any ideas? Russell Dow getting a little bit of a pullback here now. Do we pull back into 48.20s is the question. So what is that? Sweet potato pie. What y'all know about a little Keith Whitley? All right, man. Have a good rest of your day. I'll be waiting for. So you got Nasdaq short and Russell long then? Nice. Good work, dude. I need to learn from whoever taught you. My pockets are empty this morning. No, no, I know who you are. I know. The role is annoying. The role is just like one of the most annoying things that we have to deal with. Gotcha, 100%. We're almost back to opening print here for the Russell. I'm kind of. Dow's pulling back a little bit more than I wanted, or not necessarily wanted to see, but would want to see with Russell pushing higher at the moment. Now Nasdaq's pushing without having made the new lows, which I'm going to need to see. So there it goes. NASDAQ coming down for those new lows. NASDAQ getting those new lows. Yeah, same. 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 Interesting. NASDAQ, new lows there. Only market so far, and immediately trying to reverse that there. Overnight low is right here at like 845s, 850s. We're coming back up. If this divergence can hold, then I think we've got maybe something to work with if we can end the downtrend and then flip. The only thing is going to be timing wise. It's 1050. We got to rally, pull back, and then continue on the what would be a new uptrend at that point. And that's kind of going to be right in that potential window for a 15-minute sell setup. So we're going to battle that out here at some point. Russell looks like it needs a little bit more pullback here yet. Could be better action. Snow got absolutely rocked to the downside today. That was one that came out of the gate like early this year with some strength, like legitimately 216s up to 235s there, and then now has just been giving it all back. That weekly bar is not looking pretty at this point. NASDAQ getting a little love. Russell Dow pulling back here. At this point, Dow might actually make new lows again too. But I kind of want to say that potentially the range is in for the day and the lows are in now off that divergence for NASDAQ. There is a signal in place there on that new low. as well. So if that's to be the case, then we'll probably try and pop up through these 880s here, this last little pivot spike, 881s, and then from there we'll push up towards like, I don't know, let's call it 910s, 915s, and then pull back and see if we can't hold that trend at that point. That's the thing I was talking about from a timing wise, will be kind of 11:30, 11:45 by the time all that takes place, most likely. But a really solid looking divergence coming off those lows for NASDAQ there. Impressive bar. 77 points in NASDAQ there. All right, I'm going to let that kind of do its thing. I'm going to take a quick walk and let this start to develop a little bit more. I'm interested, again, potentially in longs and just play the range bound type of day. There's a long idea in the Russell right here. It's not necessarily like my favorite just because of the idea that we might come back and retest 4820s. And kind of the same thing happened yesterday where we front ran those 93 quarters in the S&Ps by a couple points. We came back, a couple ticks even, and then we came back and got them. So I would hate to get long here and then we just essentially come right back and retest 48s, wick us out, and then make the move. But there is a long entry now, 5-minute chart trying to flip in the Russell, and NASDAQ here with a pretty decent move as well now. So yeah, longs are on the board. I just want to see this get the rally, pull back, and then the new trend to develop. So I'm going to take a quick walk, and I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, we're back. 11:11. I figured. I figured. Somehow Nasdaq's stronger than Russell at this point. Part of me wants to try a little bit of Russell, but I feel like that should have held a little bit better. What's up, Starboy? I do have to run at 11:30, so I only have another like 15 minutes or so. Nasdaq somehow able to make a pretty decent rally off those lows. Total range so far about 102 points on the rally back. Lows of 810, 809s. 809 quarter. Grandpa used to play. Down the river. Lights up so weird. I kind of want to put a little Russell on here, but at the same time, it's also a little bit weaker than the Nasdaq move. All right, man. Have a good rest of your night. Yeah, Russell rejecting off 48.20s. We probably should have held there on any kind of pullback earlier. It's so crazy how the idea of the rally in the Russell off 40.20s, back up through 48s, get a pullback in there, and then be able to long something. And it had the strength, it had the best move off the lows, and now it's actually weaker than what was the weakest market earlier, which was the NASDAQ that made the new lows. It's like, even if we picked the Russell earlier, unless you took profits, basically now they're almost gone. The hourly doesn't look great. Doesn't look terrible, but doesn't look great either. And this is the piece where in the morning write-up it was like, hey, a failure is always in the cards. If we get an intraday downtrend, then we just gotta let it work its way down, right? Let it work its way lower. Part of that is this action we're seeing, which surprisingly we rallied back a little bit more than I thought without any kind of deeper pullback there. $45.20s. Don't close your eyes. Let it be me. Turn this into some fantasy. What y'all know about Keith Whitley? Yesterday gone, you'll find more love. Tomorrow we might have to play like some Young Dolph or something and switch it up because I don't know if the Dolly Parton 80s, 90s country really did it for us today. Putting the market in a sleep mode. I don't know if I'm taking it yet or not. Kind of wanted the Russell to hold a little bit stronger, which is not doing. The Dow's even holding better here. Mm-hmm. 634,000 contracts traded for S&Ps. This is low tick reading on the day, which is crazy. Minus 503s right here, 505s. This is our lowest tick of the day. Meanwhile, I was going to say NASDAQ really isn't reacting to it, but there it just dropped, 10 points. Does not seem to care one way or the other. Kind of surprising weakness out of the Russell there. Gold's trying to come back down too. You might get those 4607s. Is that? What is that? Mm, 1128. Market's spiking like that. If you wanted to try the Russell, I don't think it's a bad time. The diversion's coming off 2640 20s again. The Dow actually responded really well. I don't know what that news or something was just now that caused that spike, but it might honestly be. So I don't know what that was, but I'm debating if I should scalp a little gold from here. But I also should leave in like 50 seconds. Ah. Gold spiking now. This was the trade in gold in which I was waiting and looking for essentially all day. Come back down here, trade those 4607s, and then get a bounce from there. Unfortunate the way that had to happen, but market kind of looks like market kind of looks like it wants to specifically in the Nasdaq here kind of rip back. Opening print's 949.50s. We got some freaking Hank Williams Jr. on. It's just crazy timing. It was a nice 7-point pop out of gold there. Unable to really do anything with that. NASDAQ, I think, wants to continue to push here and get through opening print and probably challenge overnight highs. I mean, getting back to 26,045s would make sense, which is like 100 points from here. Will it take the Russell with it and all that? I don't know. Whatever that spike was, I don't see anything. Anybody know what that was? Was there anything on that? Ranger. Leave it. There's a good boy. There's a good boy. NVIDIA news. Oh, we've seen that before. Yeah, I see the NVIDIA spike. You added IWMs. I don't blame you. I like the divergence on the Russell. I don't blame you. All right, I got to roll, which is unfortunate, but NASDAQ right up at opening print here now. We'll see if that wants to push through. I could see, I mean, the NASDAQ's been the one that's had a decent move, so I could see that being the one that actually ends up doing it, and everything else just kind of chills here. Kind of would be unfortunate, but let's see what else there is to do. let NASDAQ get up through this opening print and then look to long it off opening print on any kind of pullbacks potentially. We have the divergence in place, so all of that should be essentially there. I mean, at this point, realistically. Yeah, not the greatest of trading days for me, unfortunately. The divergences were there, just unable to really participate in them in the way in which I would have liked to. And then gold waits until, literally right before I have to leave in order to set up for that, which is unfortunate as well, because that does have room back up to those highs from this 4607s here. And it's got a little 2-minute kind of new uptrend trying to develop on off opening print there. So yeah, there's a lot of room in which gold can move. NASDAQ's got a ton of time left on it on the day as well. You can see a pretty decent move to the upside. So another 100+ points to go up there at least. I wonder if I can do. Try something here. I don't know if I trust a OCO order while I leave, but yeah. I'd target all the way. I would target all the way back up to 2677s. I don't see why not. I mean, we take out this high over here, 5550s. Yeah, I don't see why not. All right, I gotta roll. darn it. I'm gonna leave the desk. Nasdaq's gonna go to new highs on the day and the whole thing. And we've seen this movie before, unfortunately. But yeah, I think that's what's ultimately going to take place here is we're finding we got that divergence down there. S&P's Nasdaq held. Russell Dow made the new lows. Divergence is in place, and we can rip and rally from there and kind of make our way up to those highs again. So if you have longs, let them rip. I mean, that was in the Sunday stock talk, basically looking to kind of hold on for the move if and when you get the opportunity. So yeah, let that one work. But yeah. All right, I gotta roll. You're in a round trip back home to SPY from open. Yeah, that was a hard pullback to try and hold through. That's unfortunate. But yeah, I'm gonna roll. I'll check back in a little bit, and yeah, like I said, let this continue to rip. If you got longs, hold them. I don't think there's any reason to not just let it try and run at this point. So, or if you grab silver down there from 4607s, that's up about 8-9 points here at the moment. But I think that's still got more room to go too. So, but yeah, anyways, that's what I got. I'll check back in later. Appreciate you guys as always, and we'll run it back again tomorrow. We do have a special coming up this Thursday. I'll have more details on that too. But yeah, anyways, that's what I got. Appreciate you guys.